Okay, call to order. Let's have a roll call.
Beckwith,
Here.
Caldwell, absent. Farkapisi,
Here.
Ketman,
Here.
Kotsinis,
Oop.
Here on the phone.
right,
He's not here, he's absent.
correct.
Absent for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Linsdau,
Here.
and Sutton, absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, shall anyone want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to ask Ann Linsdell Hepner as Secretary Pro Tem.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, now just for new people, I just want to explain before we have the next motion. We have a policy, it's by statute, that a person can participate in a meeting electronically, only for specific reasons. Business, family emergency, business of the library, and what else? I can't remember.
I thought it was just a
Pleasure
few.
trip does not qualify.
Someone
just-
medically.
Medical emergency,
Yeah.
right, okay. And so George is traveling on business, and I would like to make a motion that we allow George Katsinas to participate by audio conference. May I have a second?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
George,
Okay.
you should know that Tom has entered the meeting, has joined the meeting.
Hello.
Hey, George.
And everybody's here, Bonnie is absent tonight. Okay, so time for the pledge. right?
George, we expect you to stand and face west.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Okay, correspondence, public comment? We do have this one, or do you want me to save this for later?
Oh, no,
This for
everybody
later?
everybody got it in their envelope.
Okay,
so-
fine, everybody got it for later. No correspondence?
No memorandum.
No memorandum.
No.
Anyone want to make a public comment? Okay. Consent is next. Anyone need to take anything off? Okay, can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain. Okay. President's report is page 19. Is that right? Yeah, 19. Questions, comments? Okay. Anybody else have a report? Okay. Committee reports, start on page 21. Questions? Comments? Concerns? Okay, you're up.
So August was a busy month. I think one of the things I want to highlight is, it's part of our strategic plan progress report, is the collaboration we have with District 56. So when students of District 56 register for school, they have an option right then and there to get new library cards. So we have 891 new library cards that we've sent since the start of the program. And that there were actually more that checked, they wanted a new card, but some of these students already had a card in some instances. There were some instances when these were people that were out of district, so in those cases, we sent them information for how to get a card. Most of them were in Waukegan, so we sent them information about how you could get a card from the Waukegan Public Library. So I'm quite thrilled about that. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to look at the strategic plan progress report. I just want to point out a couple of things. And at the very top of that report on page 1 is the create a fundraising board with nominating committee. One of the things that I did over the summer was really worked hard networking with community leaders and fundraising professionals to talk about the challenges I've had recruiting individuals for this fundraising board. And I guess this isn't good news, but I took some comfort in the fact, for example, talking to the person that's the fundraising coordinator over at Waukegan, that they have some similar challenges with their foundation, getting people to serve on the foundation. So this isn't, we're not alone in this. That being said, at this point, my plan is to move forward with who we have. We do have by the very nature of the policy for the Development Council, we have myself, Joe, Christy Truey, or designee. So I think Christy and Diana Vickery would serve on the committee to just get rolling. And there are a couple other people I don't want to say in a public meeting who I plan on asking as well that I think can help with that effort. So it's been some time trying to get the dream team together for the Development Council, and the dream team might just be who we have. It's not coming together. What happened, of course, was people that we wanted for the committee. They're just very busy people. There was one individual that we asked that he just became the not executive director, the chair of a board of local charity in his community. Same thing with someone else. So I think that it's finding the right people that are really passionate about the library that have the time to do it, and you're not always going to get your all-star team, I think. But I think that's okay, because I think we need to start somewhere with the Development Council, because it's something we've said quite some time ago we were going to do. So now it's time to move forward with what we have. A couple other things to point out here. On page 5 of that progress report, page 37 of the board packet, there's certain things that if you look that we've decided that we're on the strategic plan that we want to either move up or we've decided not to pursue based on the information we received. There are two things that I'd like to move up in terms of priorities. The provide users with more access to charging stations for electronic devices, starting with the portable charger pilot project. We looked at a lot of different possibilities for that, and at the end of the day, we realized that it wasn't adequate to meet the needs of users. Really, what we need to do to make a change there is to invest some funds. And some of these things are already in the strategic plan. So when we talk about that long-range capital plan, when we start the budget process again, which will be soon, 2-3 months, I want to have a discussion with the board on maybe moving up the project for new furniture for the adult part of the library, which might involve some ways we can get power to adult patrons. And same thing with the computer lab. One of the things I'm interested in doing is having a discussion, probably the next committee of the whole meeting, about rethinking the annual appeal. During the budget process, I discussed using the annual appeal as a way to raise money for the front of the library beautification project. And after talking with a lot of people, I don't know that that's the best topic for an annual appeal. So I'd like to consider that computer lab reimagination project as the focus of the annual appeal letter. Something that would be nice to move up in terms of priorities. And just going through here, some other things. Let's see, where's my Wi-Fi hotspot? Oh, page 38, and actually page 39. So I was really interested in this idea of circulating Wi-Fi hotspots. If you're not familiar with these, they're little boxes that if you don't have internet access at home, you can check out one of these boxes and take it home and connect to the box with a computer or your smartphone or whatever and have internet access if you're not familiar with them. Well, District 56, they started this program last year, and it's not this insatiable demand that I thought I would hear from them. I think some schools have more success than others, but several of the principals, I understand, have several of these hotspots just sitting in their office, and they're waiting for students to use them. And maybe part of that's a PR problem, but maybe not. So I think at this point, since there's no clear way to fund a project like this, I think it's something to revisit the next time we do a strategic plan, because I don't see this huge demand with the model that exists in the community. Yeah, Andrea.
I have a lot of experience with hotspot, and I've gotten in trouble with the hotspot.
Yeah.
Is basically everybody in our office has been issued a hotspot.
Okay.
And when I was in Minnesota, I thought I would watch Gilmore Girls on my iPad.
Okay.
And apparently when you're streaming video, it takes huge gobs of data. And I got calls from IT, crazy. And
Oh, dear.
apparently I cost the firm a lot of money overnight, and I was asleep anyway.
Oh,
And it was
dear.
running all night. So, but I didn't know I offered to, but the data just for the computer, we have them because they never want us to be without internet. And we always have to service our clients, whether there's internet or not.
Right.
So, but data itself, when we're doing our job, doesn't take a lot of data. But if we're issuing hotspots and and they have increased the data plan again and again, and it's costly, it's not cheap. So if we're loaning hotspots and people are using it to stream videos, it may be cost prohibitive, as I have been told.
No, that's a good point, and that's one of the things that's kind of, I don't want to say funny, well, but for lack of a better term, that these things are capped. That with District 56 and other libraries that do it, they're capped at a certain data point. They're not intended for patrons to check them out and to stream, music off of our Hoopla service, right? They are intended to, access certain, educational websites or certain databases, that type of thing. And apparently what happens a lot of times is when students find out, oh, I can't stream Gilmore Girls, or I can't get on and do online gaming, they're just not interested. So yeah, it's interesting. It's something to monitor, but once again, I think just based on the information, the feedback I received, I just am less inclined to do it since, we haven't budgeted for it anyway.
If we can restrict it, and I should point out, the firm never did charge me.
Well, they should have told you before,
Maybe certain adults are supposed to know these things.
so.
Yeah, I can tell you that the type of devices available, there are many plans that are available as options. The typical one restricts video streaming to very low bandwidth streams. So there are mitigations for those high bandwidth activities that don't involve completely cutting off access to other things. But it's a very complex area, and we need the expertise to pull it off right.
The other feedback we received, for example, from the outreach department, it seems like no matter what the income level of the family, more and more families really see this as a priority. So they've somehow worked in their budget to have some kind of internet access, whether it's just through a smartphone or what. So I think there's that too. I don't know if there are other programs that. I think that Comcast does have a program that will subsidize internet service at home. So it just seems like it's less and less of a glaring need in the library district. So.
Anything else?
I would say that it's a bigger issue in other areas than in ours. But it's something that we should keep an eye on, not necessarily something that we should plan to act on in the immediate future.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. And those are the things I wanted to point out. There's a lot here, so if you have questions about any strategic plan initiatives, please feel free.
Can I weave strategic plan and your last week's staff development day together?
Oh, please.
At this time?
Yeah, of course.
So, first of all, congratulations to you and Noreen for putting on a dynamic session. I've heard staff was abuzz. I've heard from several of them.
Great.
It was a very positive, well-received program. Everybody left on an absolute high and energized about the program. And quite frankly, it got me to start thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality of it is that our world is a different world than it was 10 years ago.
For sure.
And things are happening that we just don't expect and can't even envision or imagine would have happened even 2 or 3 years ago. So the way it started thinking in my mind is that we've had some other initiatives in the past where it was security was in mind, and the initiatives or the desire was, I don't know if it just wasn't what the board wanted to do at the time. And, specifically the doors back in the corner, and spending a lot of money to put doors. But it did start me to think is that what should we be thinking about as far as additional security here that maybe we as a board we didn't take as seriously as was intended, a couple years ago. And so, looking and thinking about the strategic plan and coming up in the future, I wouldn't want to lose the buzz, the enthusiasm, the thinking the staff probably has. I wouldn't want to miss this opportunity to possibly poll them and find out what they think or what they feel from what they heard from the speaker, what they would like to see in the library as making us even more secure. Even now today, do we have the tools that, just the everyday tools that wouldn't necessarily need a board decision, but are we up to date on the tools with security? I mean, and I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I mean, are there things that without board decision could be updated?
Yeah.
And so I really, this is what I would like, and there's really no time frame on this, but the time frame is the strategic plan for next year. To see where it would fit in the strategic plan. But quite frankly, I would really be interested in hearing, maybe the department managers can get with their group and find out what is it that they would like to see in the library? What is it that they think would make us safer? And I guess that's really what it is. What is it that would make us safer? And I would like to get every department, every manager, every department's input on this. And just to see if, I just want to be proactive to the point, are we seriously looking at this? And is there anything that we really should consider and put it in the strategic plan?
Yeah.
And,
No, Tom, I appreciate the feedback, and I think that's great. I mean, we've already started that process. I think we should formalize it more because all the departments had meetings together after the Black Belt librarian was here, and I know in the admin meeting we talked about a lot of things that were like, oh, he brought up this idea and this idea. So I agree. Now is the time to get the information back from staff while it's fresh in our minds. So I think that's a fantastic idea.
so just let me know when you're ready, and we can talk about it at the next committee board meeting and see which direction. And I'll leave it upon you, Ryan, to come back to me and say we're ready to discuss this. But again, I would like to start considering it for the next strategic plan and see where that falls in with all the other things that we want.
Sure.
Or maybe, I mean, this strat plan is, what was it? I forget how many years. I'm wondering if maybe if there are things that would require a board decision to keep an eye on it rather than pursue certain things. And I'm wondering if you think it would be practical to have, or don't you tweak a strat plan in the middle? In other words, if we're letting go of a few things, perhaps we could start this not with the goal of finishing it by the end of this plan, but at least starting it early, because as you say, well, you're saying it too, people are enthused, and if we want to give people an opportunity, we should probably do it sooner rather than wait 2 more years. By that time, half the people who saw the black belt guy will be gone.
Oh, I completely agree. It just kind of like talking about the power issue with patrons. That's, talking about moving that up. That's not specifically in here. We're talking about a trial program in here, and
Yeah.
that's something completely different. I agree that if you find, because this is, we said for 3 years, but the pace of
Right.
life these days, 3 years strategic plan,
Right. And as you're pointing out, and it sounds like this was part of the content too, it's not all so much, some things might cost money, but change of procedures and change of practices
Or even-
doesn't
or even-
cost money.
Even training, and here again, I speak because I don't know, is there additional trainings or tools that we could give the security staff? That they're very good, but is there something more that we can offer them so that they're even more prepared? I don't know the answer, I just throw out the question.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they're already really good about taking advantage of all kinds of different trainings they'll get from various law agencies and that type of thing. But yeah, it certainly is worth analyzing. And I know that Warren spent a lot of time with Eddie talking about different things. So I know Eddie has a lot of ideas for training and different procedures. So yeah, we're definitely something that we're focused on. But you're right, because it's very easy to have something like this and everyone's excited, and a couple weeks later, we're focused on.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah. Which is a good segue if unless I want to.
I'm done.
So I wanted to address this in the patron comments. There was the suggestion for the opt-in feature for Sierra, and what I said in that was that this is something, this is an interesting conversation. Some people are doing this. We have the capability to do it, but it's a conversation to have with the board. Well, when I looked at the patron suggestions, it was a short week for me, and I thought in my mind, I need to go back and follow up on that, because it seems like we had this conversation already. And of course we did. Back in October of just last year, this discussion was had by the board. I think initially had at committee of the whole, and then the board voted in the October meeting to proceed with this opt-in feature. It was a narrow vote, though, and the three of the trustees, 2 were absent, so Andrea was absent that night.
I would have voted
And
no.
George was absent that night. Joe and Tom were here, and they voted against it. And then, with all due respect to the board members that are no longer on the board, Sue, Bob, and who am I forgetting? Nancy, thank you. Nancy, they all voted yes. So it's probably worth having that discussion again. The reason we haven't implemented it, there are really all sorts of reasons. One of the things that I said to the board that night was that, because there were concerns, obviously, it was a narrow vote, 3-2, and I said, we are going to be very proactive about publicizing to the public, why you might not want to do this. I know it sounds good on paper, but there are some concerns maybe you should have on opting in and having the library have your history of everything you've ever read. And then all kinds of things came up. That was during the big, coordinated advocacy campaign for Dill Pickle for president, and a number of other things, came up. So it was kind of one of those things that just was sitting there. But now I think it's an opportunity, especially looking at those votes that night and the board that we have. It's probably worth a conversation again to make sure that we're all comfortable with moving forward on that. So.
Joe, can we get that on an agenda?
I'm putting it right down now. You were gonna do the 45th, right, too?
Oh, yeah. Joe asked me about the 45th anniversary celebration and, plans surrounding it. There's another committee meeting this week. We had our initial committee meeting, and we're still in the process of brainstorming for the 45th anniversary. There will certainly be a fundraising component to it. This is a work in progress, and that's an open meeting, so I don't know what I'm trying to say. But there will be incentives for people to join what I'll right now we'll call the Sapphire Club, because it's a Sapphire anniversary. So we'll encourage people to make a donation so they can be part of the Sapphire Club, and there'll be some incentives for that. I'd like to do a micro fundraising campaign with kids. And the big thing is just to, celebrate the 45th. And I want to have a nice celebration of the 45th, but I don't want to steal the thunder of the 50th anniversary. So kind of my idea is to take a book from not have like the gala that Warren Township High School just had, but one of the things I liked what they did for their 100th is they had there are 100 events that are part of the celebration. So go to this volleyball game this night, and that's part of our celebration, and go to the football game this night, and that's part of the celebration.
Go to the alumni jazz band.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one element I would like to see is something like that, where we have 45 events next year that this is one of the anniversary events. And these can be events we already have scheduled. You don't have to book a special story time. You can just do an existing story time, as an example. I'd like to do a podcast about the history of the library with different individuals. So maybe 10 to 12, first 10 to 12 years of the library, sit down with someone that was here for the beginning, and I think that would be good. So those are the kinds of things we're talking about right now. And so it's in the early stages, so stay tuned. If you have any ideas, yes.
2 ideas. A challenge to our patrons to read 45 books in a year,
Ooh, that's good.
and a different challenge to donate $45 and to be included in a memorial book for all the donees who donated exactly $45.
I'd like to mention that the Alumni Jazz Band did feature the library's
Are you
own Stephen
offering
Jacobs.
us- Are you offering us the Alumni Jazz Band?
No, not unless you're paying a bunch of
Because they
plane
were very
fares.
terrific.
What?
That would be
They
great.
were very terrific.
That would be a
They were
good get, yeah.
But Stephen was in there as a fabulous trumpet player.
Those are good ideas.
I was there. It was a fabulous, fabulous, and free concert.
And I think the challenge for us is I want to certainly recognize the 45th anniversary, but I don't want to add extra things on our plate that are not within the strategic plan already. So that's the balance that I'm looking at.
Okay, anything else on Ryan's report? Okay.
George? Or some rumbling?
Is that a
George,
question,
are you there?
George? Oh, I guess not, okay. Okay, unfinished business. What did he say?
What?
What do you got, George? Anything?
Were you asking me a question?
We were asking if you had a question.
Nope, no questions.
Okay. So we're gonna move on to unfinished business, which is the board knowledge project. Can I have that binder, Kathleen?
Oh, well, I'll talk about this at the end.
Sorry, I should have kept it before. Okay, so this is my third binder, which I made for Kathleen on how to be policy chair. And I gave it to her tonight with the flash drive and the annotated table of contents. And we got here early, and so we kind of went over the pieces of it. So the only other thing we have left for the board knowledge project is some kind of binder for the treasurer, and Andrea and I have not gotten together to meet. And I'm not complaining, but I am a bit bindered out at this point, and I'm wondering if you and George could work on the treasurer's binder. Would that be okay with you, George?
That would be fine with me.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm gonna leave that to you then. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Anything else on the board knowledge project that anyone wants to add? Okay, here's that. Okay, new business. Page 47. Amendment of working budget.
So I think this is clearly explained in the memo, but perhaps not. So are there any questions? This does not change the bottom line of the budget or expenditures. This is basically, shifting funds. When I ran the models, I realized that I felt we had too much in building science and maintenance because there are that's one of those rates that's limited. So that's what the shift would involve.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion though?
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Ketman,
Aye.
Linsda,
Aye.
Colwell,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton absent, Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay.
Do you have the updated version of the original appropriations ordinance copies?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, pass those out, yeah. So Gina has a copy, there's a couple of minor changes to the BNA ordinance I'll ask you to approve this evening. One of them is that in the board packet, Bonnie Sutton is the secretary, and tonight Ann is the secretary.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one has to do with, when we double checked, the estimated cash on hand. We just talked about that shift to $100,000. That changes the estimated cash on hand in both building science and maintenance and corporate fund. So those numbers are slightly different on page 51 and 52 in your packet. You'll see that in the legal size B&A ordinance. Do you have one for me?
Yeah, we can share.
I didn't print enough copies.
So just so you're clear on what you're voting on page 2 of 7, if you look in your packet, you'll see, I'm on the wrong page now. You'll see that when we made that change to the budget, the total expenditures, 5.9 or 291 million. And then if you go down to estimated cash on hand, in your packet, it says 4.459 million essentially, but it's actually a change of $100,000, so it goes down by $100,000. And that same change is reflected the other way under, on page 3, under building sites and maintenance estimate and cash on hand. Is that clear as mud? Does that make sense?
I got totally lost. So what are we saying here?
So when the budget change that we just made,
Right.
essentially what happened is we shifted $100,000 that was
Yeah.
going to come out of building sets and maintenance into corporate. Now, that change of expenditures is reflected in the B&A ordinance that you have in your packet, but what's not reflected is the estimated cash on hand at the end of the year. Not
Okay.
that that number has to be exact, but, we want to try to be as exact as possible. And so when I made that change, the way that spreadsheet works, that formula doesn't update that field. So when we went back and double checked, we realized, wait a second, we need to manually go in and change that number. So the estimated cash on hand for the corporate fund on page 2 in your handout is now $100,000 greater. And then on page 3, the estimated cash on hand for your building sites and maintenance fund is now $100,000 less.
So the corporate fund says 3,587,094.
Yes. Does that make more sense, Ann, or you're
Yes,
still with?
that makes sense. And then it's 100,000 less
This is
on
3,500.
it's the first line and the last line.
Is that it? I'm sorry, so.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Don't worry.
I'm
It's,
confused as how is it that 100,000, it was accidentally off, the cash was off by 100,000? Was it a typo or?
no, because so when we went in to made this change, the spreadsheet, that estimated cash on hand number, it doesn't automatically change. That cell doesn't change when you make changes to.
But the cash on hand shouldn't change.
Well, it should, because remember, so the way building sites and maintenance was before, we were going to spend $387,000 plus dollars. But since we changed that into corporate, now we're spending $287,000 plus dollars.
Wait.
So your
So
cash.
it's not the
Cash
first
on
one.
hand at the beginning of the year, 7/1/2017. Are you talking about cash on hand at the end of the year?
End of the year.
Okay, then I'm fine.
Because as part of this, they want you to, estimate based on your cash on hand at the beginning of the year, and what you're receiving, what you're spending, what is your estimated cash on hand at the end of the year. Now, that number is never going to be exactly what we say, but it's an estimate, right?
Okay.
I know it's.
I got that it's an estimate. Okay. I was just trying to figure out in all this stuff where it was, that's all.
So, yeah, just to walk everyone through this, since we have new board members for just a couple of minutes. When you look at section 2, you're going through and looking at the different funds that we have. So
Right.
our big fund, which is, most of our, operating day-to-day stuff, is the corporate fund. And so at that first line of the corporate fund, that 1A, cash on hand, this is what we had in the corporate fund when we started the fiscal year. And then we're going through the estimated receipts, what we think we're going to bring in revenue-wise, and that gives us the total funds available for this upcoming budget year. And then you get into the expenditures, and you go through and you're putting in salaries and benefits programs, all that kind of thing, and then if you see it through, you'll have your total expenditures. So that estimated cash on hand would be the total funds available minus your total expenditures. Now, where the appropriation comes into play, this is important for us because we can only spend what we appropriate. So, for example, even though we're budgeting, for example, $56,000 plus for legal and professional, let's say, as we had last year, our HR person leaves, and we have to, retain her as a consultant. So that number would go up beyond what we budgeted, but since we appropriated that extra cushion, we could go ahead and do that without having the board to come together and reappropriate funds. And essentially what you do when we do the levy is we levy based on the appropriation, and of course, you never get what you put in the levy because of the, the PTEL, there's a limit, and that we'll get into when we do the levy. We'll talk about the different things that go into the levy process in terms of there are a lot of factors. You're looking at your, is everyone with me so far? I'm sorry. There's a limiting rate that's involved. There's the assessed value of property that goes into play that determines that calculation to determine what revenue we actually bring in. So.
Got it.
Okay, that's tough.
Okay, so we don't have a motion for this.
I don't think we have a
Correct.
motion
Okay,
yet.
could I have a motion for this? I move that the board adopt ordinance 2017-2018-4, budget and appropriation for fiscal year 2017-2018.
I second.
Any further discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Getman,
Aye.
Linsdahl,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Sutton absent. Ayes have it.
All right, next is policy 3060 on page 57. And it was felt that since there were so many changes to this, we should make it as separate business. So I move that the board approve policy 3060, standards of public conduct, as presented.
I second.
Discussion? Yep.
And I apologize for not bringing this up before. On page 60, the second paragraph from the top, it says, when a patron knowingly violates the Illinois Firearms Concealed Carry Act, the executive director shall immediately revoke his or her library privileges for a period of up to 1 year. And I have no idea how we would know if somebody knew something or not. But I might suggest if we said, when a patron, in the opinion of the executive director, violates the Illinois Firearm, because I just don't understand how we would know what they know.
In that case, Andrea, I think the reasoning was that if it is an individual who has a concealed carry permit, they are required as part of that process to take a training class indicating what is and is not a permissible location in which to carry a firearm. A library is one of those locations you are not allowed to carry your firearm. So if somebody who has a concealed carry permit brings their weapon into the library, they are knowingly violating that act.
So would we rephrase that to say someone who, so what if someone doesn't have a concealed carry permit and they're breaking the law? Hopefully they go to jail, but does that mean?
That's covered under a separate major infraction.
So should we change
Bringing a
this
weapon
to
into the
someone,
library.
instead of knowingly someone who holds a concealed carry permit? Because if I were their attorney, I would argue this and say, they don't know. They didn't know, even though they had a responsibility to know, they forgot.
Well, I think
That's a court matter.
well, I also think,
If they don't have the permit.
to Andrea's point, I think it's also covered under major disturbances already, because that says any violation of the Illinois Firearms Concealed Carry Act. So if someone came in here, they didn't have the permit, didn't have the concealed carry permit, they would automatically be violating, because you know, at the very least to go
Can we
into.
just strike the word knowingly? When a patron violates the Illinois Concealed Carry Act? Why do we?
Let me just say, if we have it in the 3.02, Why are we repeating it?
I think because someone could cause a major disturbance
'cause this
that
is under
wouldn't
revocation.
necessarily be, what is it, privileges revoked for a period of a year. So, someone is smoking e-cigarettes, I wouldn't necessarily want to slap on a year
Right,
suspension.
right.
Well, do we need the word knowingly? Just strike the word knowingly.
I'd be okay with that.
I think it sounds good the way that it is. Frankly, if you have a concealed carry permit and you're carrying your weapon in violation of the terms of that permit, you are doing so knowingly.
But even if you don't have a if you're bringing a gun in the library, you should be banned. Whether you have concealed carry permit or not.
Which we already cover in 3.02.
But they're
We're just
sort of in
reiterating.
conflict is what she's
And
saying.
the reason this was added as a separate section, and this was added not as part of this latest rewriting, but as part of the previous one, we added this language specifically around the Concealed Carry Act in Illinois to reiterate that having a concealed carry permit does not allow you to carry your weapon into the library. The entire section is redundant, but it was redundant intentionally.
And 3.02 also allows us to, we could revoke someone's privileges for 5 years or beyond. Possession of a weapon is defined by that 720 ILCS 5/33A-1. As we discussed previously with
Wait, I
another.
thought it was, I'm sorry.
No, that's something else.
Oh, okay.
As we discussed with
Oh, yeah, okay.
like a laser pointer, for example, we had a
Yes,
situation here, as we
yes.
all know about, that, that's also possession of a weapon. So, I think that gives us a leeway to,
But how are you gonna know if they know?
Oh.
How are you gonna demand I wouldn't wanna put you in that situation.
I'm not, I promise you. No, and an event like that, staff knows to call the police. We're not gonna,
Okay,
no
let me
one's
just-
gonna approach a patron that has
Let's get a sense of where people are. So, who's okay with having it in two places? Okay, George,
I am.
are you raising your hand?
I'm raising my hand virtually.
Okay, thank you. So let's focus on the word knowingly. Who thinks we should leave knowingly in?
I do.
Raising hand virtually again.
Yeah. Hey, George, I'm going to jump in for a second. I see both sides here, but to Andrea's point, how would we be able to even determine if a patron knows that he's violating the firearms? It's something that's an impossibility.
But that's his
Does the patron
responsibility.
have a concealed carry permit? If they have a concealed carry permit that has been issued to them, and this is what this was meant to cover. It is not just somebody bringing a firearm into the library. It is a patron with an issued concealed carry permit bringing that firearm into the library in direct violation of the training they received when they received that permit.
The person he has a responsibility for knowing where he can take his weapon.
That is correct.
But the question is, do you want the weapon to be removed even if the person didn't know? Because the person's still violating the act. If they want to claim they didn't know, I don't think that's an excuse.
I don't think either.
I say you either
So let's
strike
take out the word knowingly.
You either strike the word knowingly, or you put is in possession of whatever license that is. Then we don't have to determine if they know.
Who wants the word knowingly to stay?
George is raising his hand virtually.
George is raising his hand still.
I think I am too, and not
Okay.
virtually.
Okay? Who wants knowingly to go? Okay. I'm going to amend my motion.
4 hands were raised, George.
Yeah, 4 hands, sorry, George, thank you, Andrea. I'm going to amend my motion that the board, approve policy 3060, standards of public conduct as amended. I'm going to remove that word knowingly.
Okay.
Let's have a roll call. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Katsinis,
Was that me? Sorry.
Yes,
Yes.
Kotsinis.
Aye.
Ketman.
Aye.
Caldwell.
Aye.
Linsdau.
Aye.
Farkapisi.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Sutton absent. Ayes have it.
Okay. Next is resolution for the Friends, for National Friends of the Library Week. Page 64 is the resolution. Is this reprinted with Anne's name also?
It is reprinted things now, right? Got it.
I move that that resolution 2017-2018-1, proclamation for National Friends of the Library Week, be adopted.
I second it.
Discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Linsdau.
Aye.
Caldwell.
Aye.
Farkapisi.
Aye.
Ketman.
Aye.
Kotsinis.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Sutton absent. Ayes have it.
Okay, excellent. Let's see, items for October agenda? Anybody? Or committee of the whole? Okay. Public forum, anyone want to speak?
I'd just like to reiterate and thank the board for the staff development day. It was truly awesome. And I don't think we're gonna have any trouble moving on some of these things because that very afternoon I was talking to Eddie about some things and I got an email from one of the managers saying, now you know, there's an expectation from staff now. And I said, we're actually working on some things now. I'd also like to address 3060 in one, in the past, this is a huge document, and it's not something that's easy to whip out for somebody to follow, and for staff to follow. In the past, we had a condensed version that would all fit on one page, and you kind of put some of the things that were very similar together. And somehow that got lost in the process. We're going to do that, so that that will be put up, you know, for everybody to have, and we're working on that. So that's one of the things we're working on already. But it was an amazing program. I never heard somebody who could talk for 5.5 hours without one note. And it was all perfect, and he was funny and humorous and serious, and he was just an excellent speaker. And we got him, this is his final tour, we got him, he's only doing one more and he's done. So we wanted him for years, and we got him as he's going out. So, thank you very much.
I wanted to add, it's not public comment, but I read the, thank you for your service letters to the outgoing art committee members, and I thought they were extremely well written, Joe, and
Thank you.
thank you for that.
Thank you very much. They did a great job, and the committee did a great job, in my opinion, so. Okay, next board meeting is the 17th. Committee of the Whole is the 3rd. ILA is the 10th through the 12th. Friends of the Library Week, 15th through the 21st of October. Any?
Yeah, I just want to add, because I forgot to do so before, Tom was very nice to thank Noreen and I for the staff development day, but there were a lot of people that were involved making that event successful. And one thing I want to point out about Noreen, what Warren Graham, the Black Belt librarian, said was that she was so nice and polite on the phone, and Noreen said, you know, I'd be a hero to my staff if I got you here. And so you got to give Noreen credit for sealing the deal with the Black Belt librarian. and yeah, so... And there were a ton of people.
Just clapping virtually.
Sandy and Kathy really helped the most with
Yeah.
getting the program going in Jan.
Yeah, so it was a team, big team effort, so I just want to point that out. So, you know, I got a great team that helps pull those things off, so.
Okay, I just have one other thing, which is I have the next September-October issue of American Libraries, and there's an article in here about repair events. Did you see that? It's sort of like Makerspace, but like they have people come in and, you know, bring your broken lamp and you can fix your lamp, and they're very popular. I thought it was kind of fun. And then this is
Interesting.
the Library Design Showcase, which will knock your socks off.
Yeah.
2 libraries are in Illinois, and they were Indian Trails.
Indian Trails is pretty impressive.
Anyone been to Indian Trails? I haven't yet. And DeKalb, so I'll pass that around. There's other stuff too, but those were just things I thought you'd be interested in. Okay, I think we're ready to be done, right?
I move to adjourn?
I
Am I-
second.
What did I miss?
Not all. We were premature in our motion.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, all right.
They're ignoring this.
I guess it's okay. All right. Anyone want to move to adjourn?
We've already done that.
Oh, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
who
Thank
made
you.
the motion?
That is
I did, and
7:50.
Tom seconded.
Okay, thank you.
7:50.